The rain hammered against the windows of our Chicago apartment, mirroring the storm brewing inside me. For 20 years, Alaric, a 46-year-old software engineer, had built a life with my wife, Bronte. We weren't the most exciting couple, perhaps, but we were solid, or so I thought. It started subtly. Bronte, a vibrant kindergarten teacher, began working late more often. She attributed it to new curriculum planning, which I initially accepted without question. But then came the hushed phone calls, the secretive smiles, and the way she flinched when I touched her. The warmth that had defined our marriage was slowly replaced by an icy distance. I tried talking to her, but she brushed off my concerns, telling me I was being paranoid, that work was just stressful. I wanted to believe her. I desperately wanted to cling to the illusion of our happy life. But the unease persisted, a gnawing feeling that something was terribly wrong. One Tuesday, Bronte said she had a late meeting. "Don't wait up," she said, pecking me on the cheek before hurrying out the door. I tried to focus on my work, debugging lines of code, but my mind kept drifting back to Bronte. The feeling of dread intensified. I decided to do something I never thought I would. I checked her phone. It was a simple act born of desperation, but it shattered my world. A string of messages with a number saved as Kyle Jim revealed everything. They were explicit, passionate, and filled with promises of secret rendezvous. My heart hammered in my chest, each beat a painful reminder of Bronte's betrayal. I felt a cold wave of nausea wash over me, and the room seemed to spin. Kyle wasn't just some guy from the gym. He was my best friend, Kyle. We'd known each other since college, shared countless beers, and supported each other through thick and thin. The realization that both my wife and my best friend had been deceiving me was a crushing blow. I sank into a chair, the phone clattering to the floor. The messages swam before my eyes, each word a dagger twisting in my gut. How could they do this to me? How could they betray me so callously? I spent the next few hours in a daze, replaying memories in my head, searching for clues I had missed, moments where I should have seen the truth. But Bronte had been so convincing, so adept at hiding her affair. When she finally came home, hours later than she had said, she found me sitting in the dark, the phone still lying on the floor. "Alaric, what's wrong?" she asked, her voice laced with false concern. I stood up, my hands trembling. "Don't play dumb, Bronte, I know." Her face paled. "Know what about you and Kyle?" I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I saw the messages." She didn't deny it. Instead, she burst into tears. "Alaric, I'm so sorry," she sobbed. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It just happened," I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been sleeping with my best friend and you tell me it just happened." "I know it's wrong," she cried, "but I felt so neglected. You're always working, always focused on your computer. I needed attention and Kyle gave it to me." Her words were like salt in an open wound. She was blaming me for her infidelity. "So, because I work to provide for us, you decide to cheat on me with my best friend?" I asked, incredulous. "That's your excuse?" "It's not an excuse," she said, her voice hardening. "It's an explanation. Maybe if you paid more attention to me, this wouldn't have happened." I stared at her, speechless. The woman I had loved for 20 years, the woman I had trusted implicitly, was now standing before me, justifying her betrayal. "Get out," I said, my voice cold. "Get out of my house." "Alaric, please," she begged. "Don't do this. We can work through this." "There is no we anymore, Bronte," I said. "You destroyed it, now get out." She hesitated for a moment, then grabbed her purse and keys and walked out the door, leaving me alone in the darkness. The next few days were a blur of pain and anger. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't stop replaying the events in my head. I felt like my entire life had been a lie. I called Kyle, my voice shaking with rage. "How could you do this to me?" I screamed into the phone. "How could you betray me like this?" "Alaric, I'm sorry," he said, his voice subdued. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen." "A mistake," I repeated. "You slept with my wife and you call it a mistake. You're a pathetic excuse for a friend." "I know," he said. "I'm so sorry. I'll do anything to make it right." "There's nothing you can do to make it right," I said. "You've lost my friendship forever." I hung up the phone, severing the last tie to the life I had known. I spent the next few weeks drowning my sorrows in alcohol, isolating myself from everyone. My friends and family tried to reach out, but I pushed them away. I didn't want their pity, I just wanted to be left alone with my pain. But eventually I realized that I couldn't keep living like this. I was destroying myself, and for what? For two people who didn't deserve my pain. I decided to take action. I started by filing for divorce. I wasn't going to let Bronte get away with what she had done. I hired a lawyer and made sure she got as little as possible in the settlement. I also decided to confront Kyle. I found him at his apartment looking gaunt and miserable. "I know you're hurting, Alaric," he said when he opened the door, "but I'm hurting too." "You deserve to hurt," I said. "You destroyed my marriage and my friendship. You're a disgrace." "I know," he said. "I've lost everything. My wife left me when she found out about Bronte. I'm alone and miserable." I almost felt sorry for him, but then I remembered his betrayal and the sympathy vanished. "Good," I said. "You deserve it. I hope you suffer for the rest of your life." I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, alone with his guilt. But that wasn't enough. I needed to do something more, something that would really make them pay for what they had done. I started digging into Bronte's life, searching for secrets she had kept from me. It didn't take long to find something. I discovered that she had been embezzling money from the kindergarten where she worked. She had been using the money to pay for lavish gifts for Kyle and to fund their secret rendezvous. I gathered all the evidence I could find and took it to the police. Bronte was arrested and charged with embezzlement. She faced years in prison. Kyle, too, faced consequences. His wife, understandably furious, not only divorced him but also exposed his affair to his employer, resulting in his termination. He was left jobless, friendless, and utterly alone. Watching them suffer gave me a sense of satisfaction, but it didn't erase the pain. The scars of their betrayal would always be with me. I decided to leave Chicago and start a new life somewhere else. I sold my apartment, packed my belongings, and moved to San Francisco, a city I had always dreamed of living in. I found a new job, made new friends, and slowly began to heal. It wasn't easy. There were days when the pain was overwhelming, when I missed Bronte and the life we had shared. But I refused to let her betrayal define me. I was determined to move on and find happiness again. One evening, a few years later, I was at a local art gallery when I met a woman named Myril. She was kind, intelligent, and beautiful. We started talking, and I found myself drawn to her warmth and genuine spirit. We began dating, and soon I realized that I was falling in love again. Myril was everything Bronte wasn't: honest, loyal, and supportive. She helped me to trust again, to believe that love was still possible. One day, Myril and I were walking along the beach when she stopped and turned to me, her eyes shining with love. "Alaric," she said, "I love you. Will you marry me?" I smiled. "Yes, Myril," I said, "I will." As I stood there holding Myril's hand, I realized that I had finally found happiness again. Bronte's betrayal had been a painful chapter in my life, but it had also taught me valuable lessons about trust, forgiveness, and the importance of moving on. I had survived the storm, and I had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. Scars may still be there, but they are a reminder of what I have overcome, not a burden that weighs me down. I had found love again, and this time I knew it was real. The rain in Chicago had stopped, and the sun was shining brightly in my new life. I finally understood that betrayal, while devastating, doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to rebuild and find happiness again. It's a journey of healing, forgiveness, and ultimately rediscovering yourself. And sometimes, in the midst of the pain, you find the strength to not just survive, but to thrive.